Hey everybody, it's KLG24601 here, and I'm playing Asagao Academy. I'm doing a Let's Play, I guess. I'm gonna try and do this, and I'm slightly terrified, but it's gonna be fun. This game is adorable. I've played through some of it already. Let me show. I have lots of things here, but we're gonna go back and pretend that I haven't played this, and I'm gonna play a route I haven't done. So, yeah. Chapter 1. And I'm gonna try and act as the characters, but I'm not very good at it, so. The train made its way along the gentle curve of the coast of Japan, whisking me farther and farther from home. Across from me sat a boy, face half buried in a newspaper. He was deeply entranced in whatever article was reading and hadn't spoken a single word to me, even when I asked if I could join him in the last compartment with any available space. He shrugged, nodded, and adjusted his newspaper without ever making eye contact. It had been almost an hour, in fact, and he hadn't once looked at me. Devoid of conversation, I took instead to counting the buttons on a pretentiously lush carmine seat cushions. 1, 2, 3, 21, 22, and so forth over and over. Now and again I turned to look out the window where the trees were blurring by. Sometimes the smeared green would break and reveal the quiet blue of the Sea of Japan. Eventually this rapidity made my stomach churn, and I went back to counting the buttons on the seat cushions. 1, 2, 3. The train compartment shuddered around us. My eyes wandered to the boy in his jacket. It wasn't the school-issued blue that I and the other students on the train were wearing. Instead, it was a green varsity-like jacket with an embroidered patch poorly sewn on front. So you're a first year, then? He folded his newspaper neatly, set it in his lap, and looked at me with a half-interested gaze. Look at those sparkles and those eyes. My goodness. Did he just catch me staring? I hope not. Guys catch me staring all the time, except I don't really stare at guys that much. IRL, at least. I stare at the guys in Asagao, because I have issues. But now that the paper was gone, I saw his face. He watched me through heavy-lidded eyes. His hair was immaculately groomed, his teeth straight and blindingly bright. There was something about him, the way the light hit him, that made him look like he was almost sparkling. Yep, there are sparkles right there on the screen. So yeah, he's sparkling. Me? He glanced around the compartment, empty besides us, and laughed. Oh. No, I'm not a first year, I'm a third year. The train began to slow, metal wheels groaning against metal tracks. The sudden shift threatened to rob me of whatever was left in my stomach, but I closed my eyes and took a deep breath, willing myself to keep it together. What kind of impression would I leave puking on a student before I even arrived at the academy? The boy frowned. I picked at the hem of my cotton skirt. That's not possible. I've never seen you before. It took me a moment of mouth fishing to find a response. It's because I'm a transfer student? He laughed again. A transfer student, huh? We don't get many of those. I removed my acceptance letter from the front pocket of my uniform. The paper, heavyweight off-white, had accumulated creases from my reading and rereading, as if the words might have changed since the last time I read it. The boy took it, studied it, then handed it back to me.
I'll see you around.
Well then, Hana, I suppose I'll be seeing you around. He smiled at me as he picked up the suitcase lying next to him. By the time I hiccuped a response, he was already gone from the compartment. I stared out into the empty hallway of the train. It was then that I realized he, having got it from my acceptance letter, knew my name, and I never got his. The train settled at the station, and I filed out with the rest of the uniformed students. Sorry, I yawn a lot when I talk, and I'm really sorry, but I'm gonna yawn. It was early April, and the last frost of winter had come and gone. The trees were already green, their leaves shivering and the occasional gust weaving through them. The air was mild, only a few clouds hanging in the sky. I walked along the road with the swarm of blue-jacketed bodies, looking at the little groups breaking off from the crowd. Everyone was buzzing so animatedly around me. I held my suitcase tight in my sweaty hands. It was leather-bound and worth more than anything it contained. It wasn't far to the school, and I was, maybe for the first time in my life, thankful that what I owned didn't amount to much. My school issued black Oxford clicked on the pavement. I walked this walk over and over in my mind. So many nights I lay awake, I'm awful, you guys. I'm sorry. Imagining what it would be like to walk to the train station, from the train station to Asagao Academy this first time. My new start. I always imagined that everything would change for me on this walk, that somehow everything would be magically different. But as I looked around, I realized nothing had changed. I hadn't changed. By the time I reached the massive gate to the academy, I forgot all about the disappointment slouching in the back of my throat. The school, framed by the gate's twisting black metal, was just as beautiful as the glossy photos I saw in its pamphlets. This was it. Asagao Academy. I glanced around. The swarm of students gathered around the gate. Beyond it, tiny blue people bounced around the academy's main building. A girl pressed a button to one side of the gate. I'm really sorry, you guys. The excitement in the air was almost palpable. A few moments later, the black gate, with great effort, creaked outwards and cleared the pathway. As the rest of the group shifted into motion, I followed along, a sheep in the herd. My stomach tied itself into knots. The crowd split off in different directions. For a moment, I panicked. A tired-looking man with graying hair called out for first years, a cluster of fresh-faced students gathering around him. Hey, look at that girl. I turned. A few feet away, a small group of boys were pointing at me and snickering. Pink hair? Are you kidding me? How desperate can you get? Hot shame crawled down my neck. I attached myself to a group of girls, following a few steps behind them. In the distance, cicadas hummed in time to my hair. She was crunching against gravel. My hair. It wasn't my fault that my hair looked like this. Luckily, I found myself at the girls' dormitory, a large sign in the lawn reading Primrose House. The building dwarfed me in size and sheer intimidation. How many students did Asagao have? As I approached the building, a red-headed girl lingering nearby caught my attention. I looked away, then looked back. She was staring at me. She walked over.
Oh, you must be my roommate!
Said, "You must be my roommate." I eyed her warily. She was smiling and bouncing in a way that suggested her views on life were akin to a perpetual bouncy castle.
What?
Me?
Bingo.
Of course, you silly. Let me guess. Room 325? I thought back to the paper I received a month prior with a list of all the supplies I needed for the year and my dorm arrangements. Yeah, that's right. She laughed, but I couldn't figure out what was so funny. Was she laughing? Was she laughing at me? I'm really awful. I should not record ever because I'm gonna yawn all the time. Was she laughing at me? When I found out my roommate was a transfer student, I knew you were going to be a total main character. Okay, game. I'm sorry? A what?
Mm-hmm.
When I saw you outside the gate, I knew it was you. I mean, look at that hair. I felt a lump forming in my throat. What was she talking about? She had to be making fun of me. I hadn't spent more than 5 minutes on campus. Sorry. And I was already being mocked. My hands began to tremble. Is there something wrong with my hair? Her face slackened from its amused smile to a more worried expression. Then she began to laugh again. No, it's great. I'm sorry.
It's great. We're
getting off on the wrong foot,
aren't we? Oh,
aren't
gosh.
we?
I'm Mai Sasaki. You must be Hana.
I'm Mai Sasaki. You must be Hana. I bowed my head.
Hello.
It's nice to meet you, Mai. All your school books are waiting in our room with your welcome letter, and I read the envelope. I hope you're not mad. Mai started walking towards the dorm's front doors. I followed behind like a lost puppy. Did you check into the front desk already? No, I didn't. I didn't know I was supposed to. Good. They'll offer to have a staff member give you a tour of the campus, but I can show you around. We don't get many transfer students in year 3, you know. Oh, is that your only bag? Just the one? I'm glad I brought an extra bag of stuff to decorate our room with. I started already. I hope you don't mind. But I did wait to string the lights. I thought we could do it together, you know? She spoke quickly, the words bubbling from her mouth, and left me no time to answer until the end of her monologue. Yeah, okay, that sounds good. She held the front door open for me and I hurried inside. Girls filed up and down the hallway, howling greetings and exchanging vague niceties that were more often than not, "How was your break?" and "Look at how tan you got." It seemed like everyone knew each other. I followed Mai as she led me through the maze of students and up 2 flights of stairs. Each dorm floor looked the same as the last. Narrow white doors lining both sides of the pale pink walls. Thin gold numbers were tacked to the front of each, the numbers rising as we climbed. You're not missing anything with the campus tour, I promise. Mr. Saitomo does them every year, and he's like totally dull. He just drags you around the entire campus and talks in that weird squeaky voice of his. I'll tell you everything you need to know. I smiled, trying to let this calm my nerves. Thanks. We headed down a hallway on the 3rd floor. Maya stopped us in front of a door numbered 325. Here we are. Oi. A faint smell of potpourri wafted through the room. The walls, like the hallway, were a soft powdery pink. Maya already defaced them with a tapestry of posters, magazine cutouts, and photographs. Some of the photos were of cats, but most were of male models and rugged musicians. A bunk bed, 2 writing desks with wooden chairs, a small dresser, and a mirrored vanity, all clearly provided by the school, were the only pieces of furniture in the tiny room. The top bunk was already covered in neatly tucked blankets and throw pillows of clashing patterns and colors. The bottom bunk had a single stiff-looking pillow and a thin cotton blanket that I didn't need to touch. I'm sorry, Snow was horribly itchy. I must have grimaced because Mai quickly smiled at me. I brought way too many pillows and blankets. I always overpack. I went to Italy over break and Mom got really mad at me because I brought 5 bags, but we were only there for a week. She laughed, pulled several blankets and pillows from her bunk, and rearranged them neatly on mine. A sudden twinge of guilt and embarrassment hit me.
Perfection.
There, that's much better. Thanks, Mai. I placed my suitcase on the bottom bunk and began to unpack its contents. Several changes of clothes, pens and pencils, empty notebooks, a few photographs of my father, a dilapidated stuffed rabbit, and an old portable radio, and a small black box. Mai opened the curtains and the sunlight poured in. So, where are you from? I slid the now empty suitcase under the bottom bunk. About 2 hours north of here. It's a small town called Amaririsu. You probably haven't heard of it. I set the stuffed rabbit, Mr. Bunny, on my bed beside a purple and teal throw pillow. Oh, did you go to a different boarding school, or... No, I went to a public school down the street from my house. Public school?
Really?
What was that like? Were the students mean? Did you have a lot of friends? I always went to private schools. My parents work a lot, and my dad goes overseas, so I think they stuck me here for convenience. Oh, hey, what's that? Excuse me. I'd removed an ornately patterned origami crane from the black box and was setting it on the unclaimed writing desk. Oh, this? My mother made it for me a long time ago. I set it beside a stack of thick textbooks, which I assumed were provided for me. Wow, it's so pretty. I've never seen paper like that before. Oh yeah, the lights. Let me get them. Mai went to her own desk, opened the drawer, and pulled out a long tangled string of fairy lights. I thought these would look nice. Here, help me string them up. That'll wake me up, hopefully. She grabbed a container of pushpins, then pulled her wooden desk chair out and over to one wall. I did the same with my own. Together we pinned the lights around the perimeter of the room. How was the train ride over? Did you meet anyone? No, not really. I was in a compartment with some guy, and...
What?
Some guy, huh? Was he cute? Every girl, ever. First time you say anything about a guy, asks, is he cute? This happened to me when I was at the beach, and I was having trouble swimming. I got caught in a riptide thing, and then the lifeguard came to save me, and when I told people I got saved by a lifeguard, first question wasn't, oh, are you okay? What happened? No. Was the lifeguard cute? This is girls. I mean, I guess he was kind of cute. Anyway. Was he cute? Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I wasn't really paying attention. I didn't even get his name. Mai seemed disappointed for a minute, then perked back up. You'll have to point him out to me if you see him again. Okay. Once we finished stringing the lights, Mai climbed down from her chair and brushed her hands together triumphantly.
Yeah!
Done! Okay, now it's time for lunch. The food here is pretty good. There's this ramen place down the street from campus that's like out of this world, but the school only lets us leave campus on weekends. Mai walked to the window. We could go today because it's Sunday and it's pretty nice out, but I guess you might want to go to the caf since you just got here. We could... She was suddenly interrupted by her own enthusiastic laughter. Oh my gosh, Mimi Santos totally just tripped outside and fell on her face. I saw it. Oh, does that mean to laugh? Maybe I shouldn't have. Oh well, anyways, let's go eat. I'm totally starved. She led me out of the room before I even had the chance to respond. The cafeteria was buzzing with students excited for the new year. Buzzing with yawning. That's totally how that works. The only people as nervous looking as I felt were the tables of skittish, wide-eyed first years. I stepped into line behind Mai, taking an empty plastic tray. We shuffled through, asking for helpings from the sulky cafeteria workers when we passed something that looked good. With full trays, Mai led me straight to a table in the back where a few students were already sitting. Mai sat down and I took a seat across from her. Hi, Mai. How was your break? It was good. I went to Italy and Spain. Dad fell off a ski jet and broke his ankle. It's better now, though. Oh. Well, that's nice. I expected to be introduced, but the girl tuned back to her group of friends and Mai turned back to me. She began to assault her food with a fork and tell me, in a practically minute-by-minute account, about her fleeting romance last summer with a boy she met on the beach that didn't go further than a few salty kisses. I sat back and let Mai talk. For the first time since arriving on campus, I felt like I was finally able to breathe. And yawn. Yawning is a form of breathing, right? I picked at my Brussels sprouts and studied Mai as she spoke. The more she talked, the more I began to notice small details about her.
Well...
She had a high songbird voice.
What?
She was dynamic, her face twisting this way and that into exaggerated expressions as she spoke. She laughed often. She imitated people in wildly unflattering voices, seemingly unrelated to her actual opinion of them. But most notably, she talked. A lot. I didn't find this particularly annoying as it filled the silence and she hardly ever asked questions that required my full attention. Just as Maya was rounding off a shockingly detailed account of the time she accidentally walked in on her friend's older brother in the act of changing, a familiar flash of green caught my eye. I glanced over. Hey, that's him! Huh? Who? I leaned across the table to whisper just in case she could hear me through the ambient chatter of the lunchroom. The boy from the train. That's him.
What?
Jared? Yeah, with the weird green jacket and the swoopy hair. He'd just picked up his tray and was walking past us when something seemed to catch his eye. Oh, you. I looked up at him, suddenly realizing he was talking to me.
Hana!
Hana, I met you on the train. How are things settling down for you? Really well. I found my roommate and she's been helping me out. I gestured to Mai, who was thunderstruck. In fact, looking around, everyone was. People stopped eating to turn and stare at Jared and me. My shoulders bunched around my neck. Well, if you ever need any help, I'll be around. Third year, right? I nodded.
All right.
Some of my friends are in that year. Of course, they can't compare to me, but I'll give them the heads up to look out for you. He flashed a dazzling smile, then winked. I should never do that again. I am so sorry, people. It's the least I can do for such a cute girl. He thinks we're cute, guys. Well, I'll see you around. I watched a torrent of thoughts raging through my head as he took a seat next to a bunch of guys who were all wearing the same jacket. That's Jared. She tore her eyes away from him and looked at me.
He's so cute.
He's the most beautiful guy in school.
Oh,
I can't believe he just looked at me. I looked at Mai. Her cheeks were glowing an indecent pink. Why do they all wear those jackets? Aren't all the guys supposed to wear blue blazers as part of their uniform? No, they're allowed to. You know Jared? That girl turned back around and was looking at me with sudden interest. Did I know him? I only talked to him on the train for a few minutes, so not really. We weren't friends or anything. But looking around, Maya and this girl weren't the only ones who were interested. Everybody seemed to be listening in. They seemed so surprised when he talked to me. Maybe a little white lie couldn't hurt? Oh, the first choice. We didn't know him. We aren't really friends with him. We talked to him on the train, and apparently he thinks we're cute. But it doesn't really make us friends, I guess. So, not really. Oh. She looked me up and down, sniffed, and turned away. Mai leaned towards me. Don't mind Mimi. She was just trying to get in with you. Get in with me? Why? Well, you asked me about those guys in their jackets, right? Those are the normal Boots Club jackets. They're... What? What's normal Boots Club? Oh, they're so beautiful. All of them. They're so cute. Oh my gosh. It's a club we have at school here. It's like totally exclusive and full of only the coolest students. They get together and play video games. Or something. That one right there is John, also known as JonTron. His bird's name is Jacques. He's even got his own cute little jacket. Aww. John is also the president of the drama club here at school. Next to him is PBG. He and John founded the Normal Boots Club together. PBG is one of the best soccer players on our team. And there's Gerard. People call him the completionist because he's obsessed with completing things. He has the biggest itty-bitty kitty collection I've ever seen. Next to him is Jared, also known as Pro Jared. He's a model. Then there's Satchbag, but everyone calls him Satch. He's like crazy smart. Those guys over there are Paul, Nick, and Josh. They write a column in the school newspaper called Continue. Paul, the one standing up, is the student council president. And that guy on the end there is Shane. He knows more about video games than anyone ever. She exhaled a dreamy sigh into her mashed potatoes. So, how would someone, join the Normal Boots Club? You don't choose the boots, Hana. The boots choose you. What does that even mean? You have to be presented with the boots to be in the club, and they're like super selective. What are the boots? The club has this boot statue. It's like the one on their patches, but it's gold-plated. It's their mascot, I guess. They do this weird initiation ritual with it. Ritual? I hear they fill a room with candles and wear these totally creepy robes during initiation. This year, 2 girls said she saw it once and they were all like chanting around the boots and it sounded like they were talking backwards. But I don't believe her. And even if it's true, I don't care if they're a cult, because they're all really hot. Just stop talking, please. I mean, they're adorable, but just stop. For your own good, honey. Please. Do they have a lot of friends? Yeah, tons of friends. I'd say they're the most popular kids in school. I mean, everyone in the school totally looks up to them. I bet they could get any girl in school, too. Or boy, for that matter. Hey, are you gonna eat your cake? I shook my head and pushed the plastic tray across the table to her. For the remainder of lunch, I listened to Mai talk about Jared through mouthfuls of half-dissolved frosting. Back at the dorm, I sorted through the pile of textbooks the school left for me. My radio was playing a poppy tune, equal parts music to static. Mai fervently scribbled in a notebook at her desk, hunched over it with strikingly poor posture. Hey, Mai? She didn't bother to look up. Am I supposed to have a textbook for History 309? She shuffled through the papers on her desk before producing a thick textbook. A demure man in a powdered wig frowned at me from the cover. Yeah, this one. I sighed. I don't have that one. The school must have missed it. Mai shrugged and set the textbook back in her pile. They have a bunch at the library. You can just check one out. Where's the library? Mai rifled through her notebook and wrote something down. She tore the page out and handed me a crudely drawn map. Oh. Okay, well, I'll be back in a little bit. It took me at least 20 minutes to find the library. By the time I realized I was holding the map upside down, the sun was setting. Okay, I want to show you guys this, because I didn't realize. This is the thing. It's the diary, and she writes in it all the time. She said she writes a diary entry, I think, once a day, maybe a couple times a day some days, but I haven't looked too much into it. She said, Dear Diary, today is the day I finally go to Asagao Academy. I couldn't sleep at all last night. When Dad dropped me off at the train station, he held my hand and stroked my hair. You look like your mother did, he said, but he didn't elaborate. I miss Mom. I miss Dad. But hopefully this will be my fresh start. And then current event day 1, tournament points 0. I have no idea what tournament points is supposed to mean, but that's me. I'm Hana. Cool. Make that go away. Sun was setting. The library was much larger than I expected, the walls lined from floor to ceiling with books of all sizes on rough wooden shelves. Intimidated, I headed for the front desk. A recognizably green and gray jacket was bent behind the counter. Normal boots. I briefly considered running away.
Hey.
Can I help you? Too late. Yeah, the school forgot to give me one of my textbooks. I was told I could get it here. Which one is it? The History 309 textbook. He stepped from behind the counter and motioned for me to follow. We jogged between the aisles in a comfortable silence. He seemed friendly enough. I should say something. What was his name again? Shane? Gerard? John? No, not John.
Satch.
Satch. Huh? Oh, you work here? Ugh, of course he worked here. He chuckled, dimples appearing in his cheeks. Yeah, I'm the librarian's assistant. It's my second year and I love it. I get to help people find books that speak to them. His eyes twinkled like a kid's on Christmas. Your book's right down here. He stopped at a row of thick, dusty books. Was this all history? And pulled out the book with the powdered-wigged man I saw earlier. Thanks. He waved his hand. It was nothing. Do you need help with anything else? I wanted to make a good impression on the Normal Boots Club, but I couldn't come up with anything. No. Thanks.
Copacetic.
You're welcome. As we headed back through the cavernous library, my unease melted away. We weren't talking, but just being near him felt like being wrapped in a soft blanket. I feel you, girl. I feel you. I resisted the urge to snuggle up to him. I feel you so much. Oh my gosh. I have issues. Yeah. We neared the front desk, stepping around a clump of studying students. As we passed, one of them shifted. Something white flew past my face. A thick piece of triangular paper lay at my feet. I bent over and picked it up. It was surprisingly heavy. There was a quarter inside of it. If I was just a hair slower, it would have hit me in the face. The students snickered, and I recognized the boys that made fun of my hair this morning among them. My heart dropped. I scanned my memory for anything I might have done to offend them, but came up with nothing. My hand started to shake. I hid it behind my back, trying to think of some way to defend myself. Why did you do that? What do you mean? We were just messing around. Are you suggesting we did it on purpose? I faltered. There was nothing I could say. I was outnumbered. They would twist my words around no matter how straightforward I was. No, sorry. One of the boys held his hand out for the paper. I inched closer to give it to him, angry at myself for being so compliant. I wish I were... A gentle warmth closed over my hand and took the paper from me. Satch examined the paper closely. I see what the problem is. Your aim would be better if you cut the corners before you folded it. He placed the paper on the table. The boys looked at him in sheer awe. Be careful, though. You almost hit her, and that would have been awful. My hands began to sweat as panic shifted through me, afraid of the response, but... Geez, we're sorry. We'll be careful next time. Yeah, it was an accident. They apologized? Thanks, I appreciate it. He gave them a wide smile and continued off down the aisles. I followed closely behind, my legs weak. Don't tell me they stopped because of him, simply because I was with him. I wanted to thank him, but my heart was pounding so hard I knew my voice would shake. We reached the front counter and he scanned the history book. My lips trembled as I willed myself to say something, anything to thank him. He tilted his head to the side. What books do you like to read? Fiction. He chuckled. I just finished a good book. I think it'd be right up your alley, if you don't mind me saying so. He reached under the counter, pulled out a thick green book, and passed it to me. A man in black stood on the front, hugging a woman in royal robes. It's long, but it's one of my favorites, The Princess Betrothed. Nice. Just nice. I know things can be tough transferring to a new school. If you're ever worried, just read this. It'll transport you 100 miles away in a second. Tears stung my eyes, so I ducked my head.
Satch.
Thank you, Satch. For more than just the books. You're welcome. Oh, I'm so sorry. I don't think I got your name.
My name is Hana Mizuno.
My name is Hana Mizuno. I'm a transfer student.
Hana.
Well, it's nice to meet you, Hana. Let me know how you like the book. I will. That couldn't have gone better. Not only was Satch impossibly kind, but being around him felt easy, refreshing. Like being doused in the mist of a waterfall. Oh gosh, what was I thinking? My cheeks hot, I left the library, 2 surprisingly heavy books under one arm. I settled into bed, eager to get started with my new reading material, but Mai was sitting at her desk, carving a pencil idly into the pages of a notebook. Every few minutes she released a long, drawn-out sigh as the lead of her pencil whined against the paper. I lowered my book and took the bait. Is something wrong, Mai? She let out another dreary sigh. I hope Jared notices me this year. Does Jared know you like him? Mai whirled around in feigned shock.
What?
I don't like Jared. Oh. I closed my book and set it aside, deciding to play along. Well, have you at least tried talking to him? No. I mean, I have before. Why don't you try again? She bobbed her head from side to side, considering this like it never crossed her mind before. Yeah, maybe I could do that. Satisfied, I picked my book back up. Have you ever had a boyfriend, Hana?
What?
Huh? Me? No, never. Really? Never? Never. I bet you 10,000 yen that you meet a totally cute boy here and fall in love by the end of the school year. You're crazy. I buried my face in my book, barring Mai from any further discussion. Fall in love by the end of the year? Me? If I were a betting kind of girl, I'd take that bet. Okay. This has been one day. I'm gonna go to like page 19 to save this one. Okay. We're gonna save that there. We just finished day 1, and we're starting our time here at Asagao Academy, and I hope to continue this series. Let me know if you guys have any suggestions on who you think I should date. I probably won't date someone that I've already dated before on my own time, which so far is PBG, Satch, and Shane. I tried doing the Shane route, and it didn't go well. And I also did one of the hidden routes. So if you guys have any suggestions, let me know, and I'll try my best to make them succeed. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your evening / day / whatever. And I'll see you guys next time for more Asagao Academy. Thanks, guys.